Welcome back to the IBFP. Here's your host, Boxing New.
Delusional. Now, delusional is a disorder previously called paranoid disorder. This is a type of serious mental illness called a psychosis in which a person cannot tell what is real from what is imagined. The main feature of this order is the presence of delusions, which are unshakable beliefs in something untrue. And that's simply what Sergiy Derevyanchenko has. He has delusions because he is delusional. He has idiotic beliefs in something that is not true. And let's just break it down honestly and objectively. Sergiy Derevyanchenko came out and stated that Canelo Alvarez compared to Jermall Charlo is the easier fight. I think Canelo Alvarez is easier, and that's a quote from Sergiy Derevyanchenko. He also goes on to say it's because Canelo has almost the same style as me, and that's almost as delusional as the first statement. So, Canelo Alvarez is an elite level counterpuncher. Sergiy Derevyanchenko is more of a brawler, more of a boxer puncher. And when you look at the breakdowns, you see that Canelo Alvarez has a lot of elite level head movement. Sergiy Derevyanchenko simply does not. And when you break down who was really easier, you see that Jermall Charlo was the easier opponent. And that's why Sergiy Derevyanchenko took. And when you look at Jermall Charlo, we all know that Jermall Charlo's boxing ability has been exposed when he fought Matt Korobov. That exposed all his abilities right there. That's one of the reasons why Sergiy Derevyanchenko took him, because he knows he's not going to be a better boxer than Canelo Alvarez. Jermall Charlo power was exposed when he fought a guy moving up in weight from 154 in his first fight at 160 in Brandon Adams, when Jermall Charlo couldn't get him out of there. His power was exposed. So not only was his boxing skills exposed, his power was exposed. Jermall Charlo has been vastly overrated. He's looked at as easy pickings for a guy like Sergiy Derevyanchenko, and almost any and every expert is leaning and picking Sergiy Derevyanchenko in this fight. Even Sergiy Derevyanchenko's own trainer preferred him to pick Jermall Charlo and not Canelo Alvarez. Why would your own trainer want you to go for a guy, who basically is unproven at the elite level compared to the face of boxing? The biggest fight you could get in boxing right now is Canelo Alvarez. Why would he have you do it? Simply because it's an easier fight. See, you don't go by what a guy says, you go by what a guy does. And then when you look at Sergiy Derevyanchenko versus Triple G, you see that Sergiy Derevyanchenko was robbed of that decision. He should have gotten a nod. But even with that being said, Sergiy Derevyanchenko took a lot of punishment in that fight. Sergiy Derevyanchenko looked like he had two breasts forming above his eyelids. Let's just be honest and unbiased about it. Sergiy Derevyanchenko was there to be hit by Triple G all night long. That's really what it was. And this is a Triple G that had no jab. This is a Triple G that wasn't at his best. This is a Triple G that was with Jonathan Banks and not Abel Sanchez. This is a Triple G that was not as good as he was. And this version of Triple G still punished Sergiy Derevyanchenko in a lot of those rounds, swelling up both eyes, giving him a lot of damage. And people also forget that Triple G hurt Sergiy Derevyanchenko as well in that fight. That fight was no pushover for Sergiy Derevyanchenko. That was a close fight, but it was also a fight that most people felt like Sergiy should have got the nod, and I can respect that. But my only thing about that is, if it's easy for Triple G to hit you, what do you think it's going to be for a counterpuncher like Canelo? You got to be honest about it. Then you also see Sergiy Derevyanchenko when he fought Danny Jacobs. That was a close competitive fight as well. But Danny Jacobs also picked his shots on Sergiy Derevyanchenko, outboxed him to a degree, and also dropped him in that fight. Now, if Danny Jacobs can line you up and catch you with a good, clean shot and drop you, imagine what Canelo Alvarez can do, who significantly punches harder, who's a much more craftier fighter, and who's much more difficult to hit. You got to be real. Canelo Alvarez stylistically is all wrong for Sergiy Derevyanchenko. And not only that, you see when Canelo Alvarez even fight, a bigger, stronger guy in a guy like Danny Jacobs, he had a Danny Jacobs, who had a 20-pound advantage over him in that fight. Massive size advantage for Danny Jacobs. And Danny Jacobs was literally not looking like himself. You see when Danny Jacobs fought Sergiy Derevyanchenko, And when he fought Triple G, he tried to impose his size at times in both of those fights. He tries to show, how big he was and try to land some hard power shots. Against Canelo Alvarez, he was tentative to throw shots because the counters was crushing him. You see, you've never seen Danny Jacobs that hesitant in a fight before. It's because Canelo Alvarez's counter-punching abilities is elite. And look, let's just cut to the absolute chase of the matter here. Sergiy Derevyanchenko is garbage truck juice for lying about this situation. And what I mean by that is this. Sergiy Derevyanchenko, yes, he's a good fighter. He's a quality fighter. But this is what makes him garbage truck juice. It's because he's obviously delusional. Just say that you wanted, Jermall Charlo because you thought, he was an easier fight for you. He was a more stylistically, better fight for you. But to say that Canelo Alvarez was easier is absolutely delusional, absolutely stupid and moronic. When you turn down that fight 2 times on 2 separate occasions, you turned down a fight with Canelo Alvarez, the face of boxing. Who turns down a fight twice against the face of boxing, the biggest star and name in the sport? It simply doesn't happen. Sergiy Derevyanchenko, biggest payday when he was in negotiation for Canelo Alvarez was $500,000. He has no fan base. Then he demands $7 million. He didn't get the $7 million. Canelo stripped, and Sergiy Derevyanchenko takes about $5 million from Triple G. So you took less from Triple G than what you were demanding for Canelo Alvarez. You turned down the Canelo Alvarez fight 2 times. Let's just be real about it. Sergiy Derevyanchenko does not hold the belief that he can beat Canelo Alvarez, neither does his trainer, and they're not willing to take another loss on his resume without being paid an enormous sum, upwards of $7 to $8 million. We just got to be honest and unbiased. Sergiy Derevyanchenko, you're the idiot of the day.